There is no question that this woman was a trailblazer in news and accomplished feats that would never really be matched and could never be matched because she was the first, the first to do so many things with 2020 and 60 Minutes and on and on. And she made it in a time when women weren't being taken seriously and when it was very hard to be considered as a serious news person, right? So and all of us who have come in her wake owe her a debt of gratitude on that front. And it's one of the reasons why my admiration for her, I bought her autobiography, Audition, several years ago. Well, I actually read that book cover to cover. I read every word in it. And I was deeply disturbed by what I saw. What I saw was an incredible person professionally, and I would never take one moment of that away from her, but a woman who completely fell down on the job when it came to her mothering. And it was jarring to me, her admissions about her own mothering, and also what her book said without her seeming to realize it about her lane there as a mom. She talked about how she adopted a little girl she named her Jackie after Barbara's sister. And the daughter never saw her mother. And basically, Barbara Walters, according to her own book, was barely mothering this child. And then she writes about how the daughter, so weird, started to have all these behavioral issues. And it was like, well, I sent her off to that boarding school, and that didn't work. That was weird. And then that didn't work. That was weird. It's like, hello, I'm channeling my pal, Dr. Laura, right now. I mean, she needed one good phone call with Dr. Laura, and she would have seen exactly what was going wrong with this kid. And I had my producer, Debbie, Canadian Debbie, pull this for me because there was one line I remember. This is from the book. She talks about Jackie, who she adopted in 1968. And Barbara writes, I telephoned whenever I could. And she's on the road all the time. Like, she was with Fidel Castro. She wasn't with Jackie. I telephoned whenever I could. I told Jackie I missed her and I loved her dearly. And I asked the nanny to turn on the Today Show before Jackie went off to nursery school so she could see her mommy in that strange land called China. Then I hung up the phone, felt even lonelier, and went back to work. Okay, she's saying here she felt lonely. Elsewhere, she admits she never felt lonely. She was alone, but not lonely. She loved her career. She thrived on it. It's the same as Mike Wallace, who was a shitty father to Chris Wallace. And Chris and Mike have talked about it and written about it, but a great journalist. And each of us that has a demanding career has to decide for him or herself just how much to give to each lane. This is a question you're going to have to ask yourself as a new father. Yep. As important as your career is, as accomplished as you are, all on your own. You did it yourself. Nobody helped you. Nobody gave you a silver spoon. Nobody paved the way for you. You fought viewer by viewer for the success you now have. But now you have something even more important, two somethings, right? So you have to work to find the balance. She never found it. She never found it. And to me, it was a sad story about the sacrifice of what truly matters for, I think, the ultimate artifice of fame, money, accolades, and not even that much friendship and beloved colleague situations. Because I happen to know, Barbara Walters wasn't that close with a lot of people, even on the job. She was built to do one thing, great interviews, and she fucking nailed it. But this other lane is hugely important, and it was neglected.
Do you remember in the book, was there any sort of mea culpa at the end? Because usually when people write autobiographies, there's something in that closing chapter to the effect of, I did a lot of these things, this is what you know of me, but here are the things that I made mistakes on. Was there any acknowledgement of what you're talking about from what you remember?
My impression in reading the book was she was clueless about just how much damage she was inflicting on the child. Wow. Like I said, she, I sat her in front of the TV whenever I could. What? That's not mothering. That's no substitute. No one made you go adopt this child. You did. Or in other cases, you had the child. And this is not a bash on working moms and dads. I am one. You are one. Yep. You can't never be present. You can't never be present. Same thing when people adopt a dog. Don't adopt a dog if you can never be with it or never want to be with it. Anyway.
Well, I think
even more
it's
so
super
when it's
interesting,
a human.
Megyn, Because you, I think, are, first off, in terms of what you acknowledged at the beginning about how she blazed these trails, that, you are one of the people that gets to pick up from, just from a female perspective. And I don't like to, we don't like to do identity politics, so there's a certain irony there. But the truth is she did do it in a time when she was, right. So there's that. But, you're an interesting case of this because from professionally, being a fan of yours before I knew you personally and now knowing you personally, it's like the way you do your show where even today where you started with a personal story, your love for your kids comes through, whether it's on your show or having dinner with you and your husband and your family. Like, it's obvious that you're trying to do those things. Look, you literally moved from where you lived because of your kids and then of what the schools were doing to your kids. And then in essence, that became something that you talked about from a political and cultural perspective. So that feels pretty integrated to me. It's something that, as you just said, I'm going to have to now figure out going forward because I have, for the last 15 or 20 years, given everything I had to my career. It worked. It's good. It's settled. But now I have this other thing, and I have to figure out how to do that. So I suspect you'll be getting some calls from me at about 3 a.m. when I'm getting more spit up right in my mouth.
Well, and the balance is different for everybody. You know what I mean? Maybe some people are more 60% family, 40% work, or vice versa. And frankly, most of us have to work. Most American families don't have the option of being like, I'm just going to, it's most of us have to work. At least one parent has to work, and usually in most households too, though you can find a way. And I think, for me, I always laugh when people are like, that was the dumbest move you ever made, was leaving Fox News. I'm like, you don't know anything about me. You have no idea. That no amount of millions was worth missing my children's entire childhood. No amount. And I'm delighted that I left Fox News, not because I had problems with the people there. I actually loved the people there. There was definitely a hangover from the whole Roger Ailes situation, but that's the reason I left was because I wanted to see my children. I want to raise my own children, and I still wanted to work. And I found an off-ramp that seemed to make sense at the time. That was fraught too, but we can get to that. We've already gotten to that at NBC. And anyway, in the end, I landed it. And Barbara Walters, you ask about regrets. Canadian Debbie pulled this soundbite from her in 2014 when she was talking about her daughter Jackie and her feelings, looking back on her career. Take a listen.
Do you have any regrets when it comes to Jackie?
I look back and I think I wish I had been with her more. I was so busy with a career. It's the age-old problem. And on your deathbed, are you going to say, I wish I'd spent more time in the office? No. You'll say, I wish I spent more time with my family. And I do feel that way. I wish I had spent more time with my Jackie.
I'm going to tell you something, Dave. I don't believe that soundbite. I actually don't believe her. I've read enough of what she's written that I think she prioritized her career because it was what she truly loved. It was what she truly loved more than anything. And I think Barbara Walters was smart enough to know what to say in that interview, but she did not live a life that reflected any of that, You've heard me talk about Bonner Private Wine Partnership in the past. They have these incredibly rare Malbecs that you must try. If you enjoy a glass of wine, try these wines from the extreme altitudes of Argentina. Starts off like a fun story. The flavor is unlike any other. Blackberry, leather, smoke, little dark cherry, spectacular. All these wines, they're nearly impossible to get on your own. The producers, deep in the Andes Mountains, make limited quantity. The best part, they have cut out the middleman. You won't deal with a big markup because of that. Today, we have a new offer that we've never had before. If you visit bonnerprivatewines.com/MK, you will not only get the wine for over 50% off, plus free shipping, you will also get a bonus bottle of small batch limited production wine from their exclusive wine cellar. That's 4 bottles for the price of 3. It's a deal that's hard to turn down if you are a wine lover like I am. You will love Bonner Wines. Go to bonnerprivatewines.com/MKS. Stands for MK Show. Okay. Bonner, BONNER, privatewines.com/MKS to claim your bonus bottle and become a part of America's most unique wine club. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.